just take them as we go through them. And I don't know if we can finish the Constitution next time or not, but I do want to go to each item, and I do want to read out what it says in this corrected manuscript of all of the constitutional changes, and it is really good because it's up to date right now. Okay, the next one is the House. So the House of Representatives, we'll give them a minute to come back. They'll be back here in a minute. But the House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people. Now, quickly thinking, who does the Senate represent? The states, right. So the states have 2 representatives from each state. What does that do? That makes equal distribution where that each state has the same amount of spokesmen, right? It's not oversight. Now then, we go to the House of Representatives, and who do they represent? The people. That's us. And we are the majority, so we are the ones who speak, and they're the ones who listen. And we say, stand up, and they say, how high? You see what I mean? So we've got to change some changing in Congress. And so, but anyway, the House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states. And the electors in each state shall have qualifications requisites for electors of the most numerous branches of state legislature. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 and been a citizen of the United States for how many years? 7. And who shall not, when elected, be inhabitant of the state in which he shall be chosen. So he should live in the state. Now, let me read that to you in the corrected version, okay? The members of the House of Representatives will be elected every 2 years by the people in each of the states. Each state has a standard it uses to decide who is allowed to vote for its state legislature. The same standard must be used to determine who is allowed to vote for members of the House of Representatives. So we have here the House of Representatives, and so they represent the people. It goes on to say also the House of Representatives shall choose their speakers and other officers and shall have the sole power of impeachment. That means the House of Representatives, when a, quote, Supreme Court justice gets out of line with the Constitution, they bring him before and they impeach him. Now they also have the right to, we'll discuss this later, they also have the right to keep him from holding other offices in the government. And so once they get him out. Now recently, I'll have to think for a minute to get the guy's name, but he was impeached not long ago, and Nancy Pelosi brought him up and wanted to have him one of the main leaders. I can't think of his name. I got to remember. Do y'all remember who it was? Was going to have him be the members of a committee she got in the Congress objected so bad that she finally decided not to use him. Do y'all remember who that was? I'm just going off the top of my head. Can you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about? Recently, Nancy Pelosi was going to appoint a man to take some office. I wish I could have done my research on it better, but I may have it in my notes head yet. But it's going to announce to take some office. This man had already been impeached. And then, I'm sorry, I got 2 stories mixed up. This guy was later elected to the Congress. And the Congress didn't have to seat him. I'm sorry, I'll get my stories right here in a minute. No, he was kicked out and impeached, and he went back from one office, and then he went back to run for Congress. They elected him. He went to Congress these other days. I think his name was Martin, I believe. Is that right? Do y'all know who I'm talking about? Okay, we'll check about it. Put that on your list to do. Let's check out and see who that guy was. And so we find then that, first of all, the word attained in the New Dictionary, 1820 Dictionary, is to arrive, but you have attained the age of 18. So if you've attained the age of 18 or arrived, you're 18 years old. And so that's what that says. Bound to service for a term of years, a person who has a contract that must work at a certain job for some number of years. So he's bound to service for a term of years, which is 2 years this. Direct taxes assessed directly on a person or his property. Indirect taxes are assessed on a transaction. The person makes sales taxes even though paid directly by the person. are assessed on the transaction of the sale. The person is therefore indirectly taxed. If everyone in the country had to pay $1 for being alive, that would be a direct tax. So income taxes are indirect taxes assessed on the transaction of making income. It's kind of a little way of flipping around. And so many things are unconstitutional. Is our IRS constitutional?
No.
What should we do about it?
Well, they say it's voluntary.
Pardon?
Technically, they say that the income taxes are voluntary.
Do you pay your income tax voluntarily? If you don't pay them, what happens? They come after you, don't they? Yeah. Yeah. Let me. Right, Chad. Right. Okay, listen to this. I'm president of the Golden Cake Kiwanis here in Sulphur Springs. In 2007, we took a truck and we gave out tickets, raffled it off, so to speak. But we took donations. We took up to 2,000 donations. We took in $42,000 that year. And out of it, we paid for the truck, and we made $19,000. And Kiwanis is all about kids. So we invested all this money back in our kids, in the schools, school system. We gave every school in this county, we gave them money. We gave them to buy school supplies with and things like that. 2-3 years later, just here last year, we get a letter from IRS saying, you did not pay your taxes, correct it and file it back. So I go to our CPA. Thank the Lord we used a CPA. And went to the CPA, and he checked it out. Went too long, we got another letter. And then the last letter we got says you owe like $1,700. We are a civic organization. You know what's going on. And so I finally gave it to our CPA, and I signed over a power of attorney, and he took and he resolved it. We got a letter from IRS. I was hoping they'd say, I'm sorry, but we were wrong. Instead, they said, you don't owe us nothing. Maybe that's as close as they can come to an apology. A civic organization that doesn't do nothing, and they harassed us. Not only that, by 2008, they've sent us letters on 2008. We haven't got anything on 2009 yet, or maybe in the mail. We just don't know it. But they harassed a civic organization. And we had a independent organization call in and call me and say, sir, how are things been going? I said, we have been harassed. I answered it on paper. I said, we have been harassed by the federal government on income taxes. We have already filed our report. Everything is filed legal and as way it should be. They should have checked it before they sent us the letter. No, they didn't do it. They just mailed everybody out a letter. I call that harassment. Now, when a federal government gets that kind of power, whether they harass a civic organization who does nothing with their money but give it to the kids, come on now, what does that say for our government? They don't speak very highly of them. Okay, Brother Paul.
I didn't know that the federal government, I didn't know what the IRS was, the federal government. I thought the IRS was independent.
I don't know. They're not independent. Yeah, Federal Reserve is not federal either. We got a lot of things that are not federal, don't we? So, anyway, let's be going here. Finish up. I'm not sure we can get through with this. Let me see if we can. Okay, have we got 10 more minutes for y'all? Is there anybody have to go any place? Are you okay for another 10 minutes? Okay, everybody okay? Let me finish up here because I want to define these words, and then we'll talk about a little bit, and I'll read the Constitution of the corrected Constitution. Electors, and remember now, as most of you know, we don't elect the president. We elect the electors. Where do the electors come from? Who appoints the electors? We elect them at the Republican Party convention, don't we? Where does the Democrat get their electors? They do it at the Democratic Party. Okay, they elect their electors at those times. Then, if the Republican wins, the Republicans go, as the electors go. If the Democratic wins, the Democratic electors go to vote for the president. Make sense? Okay. All right. Enumeration, accounting, or naming, naming of one by one of a listing. For instance, when the government takes its census, every 10 years they make an enumeration of the people. That was where I wanted to stop for a second. Uh-oh, guess what? Maybe we just got dismissed and didn't know it. Yeah, it fired me, didn't it? Maybe I can find my place again. But the numeration, that's where I wanted to get over on my, find my place back here. Okay, the numeration or a census. A census is an official count of population. Census, an official enumeration of the population of a county and various statistics pertaining thereto. In ancient times, the Romans and the Jews took the census. In modern times, nearly all Occidental countries hold censuses at 5 or 10 year intervals. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? I'm on the first session 2 of the Article 1, the House of Representatives. And I am now going to read from the corrected version of the Constitution, which a lot of it makes a lot of sense. Okay, a representative must be at least 25 years old and a citizen of the United States for 7 years at the time he or she is elected. The representative must be a resident of the state that he or she resides, and we know that already, didn't we? The number of representatives that each state has will be based upon the population of each state. So will direct taxes, except for income tax. For those purposes, the population will count everybody except Indians who are not taxpayers. Did you know the Indians don't pay taxes? I got a statement that I usually make, and they got all these casinos up there, and I usually say the Indians found another way to scalp the white man. Okay, the right to vote will not be denied to any resident of any state who is at least 18 years old. This includes the right to vote for president, vice president of the United States, representative in Congress, as well as the governor, judges, and legislators of that state. If any state prevents or hinders any eligible person from voting, unless they participate in rebellion or other crimes, the number of representatives that the state is entitled to will be reduced in its proportion. So the actual census must be taken within 3 years after the first meeting of Congress. So they set this up, remember, and so 3 years after that they wanted to take the first census, and then every 10 years after that, Congress will determine by law how the census will be taken. Each state will have at least one representative, but otherwise not more than 30,000. Until the first census is taken, the number of representatives from each state will be New Hampshire 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, North Carolina 5, South Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. When any representative does not finish his or her term, the governor from his or her state must set a special election to fill the remainder of that term. The House of Representatives will choose their speakers and their officers and will have the exclusive power to bring a charge of impeachment. So in the United States, enumeration of the inhabitants of all the states taken. So this is what census comes out of the 1828 dictionary. Taken by order of Congress to furnish the rule of apportionment, the representation among the states, and the number of representatives which each state is entitled to. The Congress also enumeration of the inhabitants of a state taken by order of the legislature. So the House of Representatives is composed of 435 members. They're elected every 2 years. Each person must be at least 25 years old, must be an American citizen for 7 years, and he must reside in the state which he lives. And so to be qualified, to see who chooses Speaker of the House, the representatives choose their own Speaker of the House. I wish they hadn't chosen Baynard. I wish Texas hadn't chosen Strauss. What would happen if the president or someone else chose who was to be the Speaker? What would happen if somebody else chose who would be the Speaker of the House? It'd be unconstitutional. Yeah, because see?
Where does it say in there that the voters have to be registered?
Okay, just a second. It didn't say the voters had to be registered. It said that what was about the registering of the votes. Okay, let me go. Anyway, the House of Representatives does not like what the president is doing. What can they do? What can they do to remove him from the office? Impeach him. Okay, yeah.